Hello all you people out there in TV land. My name is CB Studios, also known as Kurt, and don't you hate those projects that you start? You have a really clear goal, you have a really clear idea on how you're going to achieve it, you start your project, and every single step of the way you run into issues. Be it materials not working the way you expected, be it tools not working the way that they should, be it just life getting in the way, any sort of complication that can arise ensues and then must be overcome. Well, that's what this video is about. You're going to see a build video on this, my Jack Sparrow Queen Anne box lock build from Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides and Dead Men Tell No Tales. Now, this should have been a very straightforward build. It should have been something that was very easy to achieve, especially considering I've already done it once with the Perry of London. However, as you will see in the build video that follows this little intro bit, anything that can go wrong with this build will go wrong. But I figured that it was important to show that no matter how competent you are, or confident, or experienced you are with doing projects, you never know what can get thrown at you that will slow you down, and they're not always going to turn out as a perfect piece at the end. In fact, this is going to have to be revisited at a time when I can really bear to look at the thing. So let's jump in and have a look at this video, see the build process, and at the end of this we'll talk about where it all went wrong. Let's jump in. And we're back in the very messy workshop today, but I got a project, and this is an interesting one. They're all interesting. I always say interesting even when stuff's not really that interesting. This one, however, I like to think is going to be kind of interesting. You may remember in my Jack Sparrow videos, I've done a video on this guy, my replica Perry of London Jack Sparrow Flintlock. Now, this is built out of a Denix flintlock. It's metal and wood. Does the clicky clicky, does the boomy boomy, but they are inert. They cannot be made to fire anything. They're a prop. And I kind of really like that. I like these props. I'm going to build another one. I'm actually going to convert a flintlock that I have. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make Jack's second flintlock from Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. In the fourth movie, Jack's got a second flintlock in his lower Anna Maria belt. Photo goes here. While I don't actively cosplay as Jack Sparrow from Pirates 4, it's one that I really like. It's a costume design that I really like because all of the costumes are different, and I'd love to have that flintlock. Many years ago, back when I was actively cosplaying as Jack from Pirates 4, I picked this up, and I picked it up in Sydney from a place called Paddy's Markets, and it's seen better days, I can tell you that much. But this is a Colson or a Clausen, a Spanish-made flintlock replica. I believe it's a Belgian-style flintlock or something. I don't know. And I got it because it does bear a passing resemblance. Let's flip it around. It bears a passing resemblance to Jack's second flintlock. It does have some differences. It's got some bits and pieces that I do want to modify. And I actually picked it up yesterday and realized that even though it's pewter, some pieces have actually broken on it. The little piece that sits here, that broke ages ago. And so I want to repair it, but I'm also going to do some modifications. And so the whole thing has come apart. We're going to do some down shots and have a look at what we're doing with this. We're going to do some woodwork. We're going to do some metal work, a lot of grinding with this, and some little metal bits. It's going to be really fun. It should be a nice little project. It's not going to be a one-night project, but we are going to be able to get it done in a couple of days and hopefully make a little bit more of an accurate flintlock than this, a little bit nicer, something that matches Jack's second flintlock. All right, so we're going to look at this flintlock at what it is now in comparison, again, with the Perry of London, and we've got a couple of other plastic ones that you can see here. We'll go over those in a second, but we're going to take a look at the main differences between that and this wonderful one here. This reference that I'm using is really, really nice. It's one of my favorite things about the modern day and how film is held as the medium that it is screen-used props sell for an awful lot of money. The awesome thing about that is you get really nice high-resolution photos, and last year the hero Queen Anne Flintlock from Jack Sparrow's costume from On Stranger Tides actually sold at heritage auctions And we got some awesome photos. Really, really nice high resolution images, front, back, and side, and all that sort of fun stuff. Let's take a look and see the differences. I'm not going to do anything about the engraving on the barrel because that's just there. That's fine. We don't have a ramrod under the barrel, so I think our first thing is going to be cutting this off. We can file that down, and the pewter is going to age back into this sort of finish. The big thing that I'm not going to modify is the mechanism for this one is actually centered in the barrel as opposed to being offset. So it would have to go here, and I don't want to do that. I still want the clicking, and I still want all of the function. So it is going to be a side plate. It's going to be a side mounted mechanism. That's okay. Now I do have the pan, which is this little section here. That's where you would load the gunpowder in. But we've only got this much of the frizzen, which is the little doobie bit that goes onto here. You can see it here. It's this L-shaped piece. You can see it here. It moves forward and back like that. Mine's missing. So I'm going to have to sculpt one from scratch or make one or mold one. I am going to do it in metal because I can do that. But that's something that needs to be replaced. This mechanism on the side has broken, which is awesome fun. I love that. It does hold in there pretty well. As you can see, it's very, very loose. We'll pop this apart in a bit and I'll show you how the mechanism works. Yeah, there we go. There's a post just here that has snapped off. The post that the trigger fits around, so that's annoying. I may just end up JB welding that back into place. I also don't know. Or I might drill out one of these screws, probably this one, and put an actual screw in there so that it holds this mechanism together. Maybe screw the other side as well. The next thing is this butt cap is different. And in fact, it's the same butt cap that you see on Jack's other flintlock. It's this grotesque one. This is a pewter one that I've cast many, many years ago. And in fact, these plastic toys have a really accurate version. That's where I got this one from. So I've pulled out my mold. Last night while I was toying with ideas, I've actually cast up. This is pewter, but it's a little yellow just from the casting process. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this off flat so that I can mount my butt cap to that. It's gonna look really cool there. We're going to do timber over this section and probably cut maybe this back part of the frame because we won't need that. On Jack's real one, it's timber the whole way down. There's a bit of a metal guard underneath, but this is a whole separate piece. So we're gonna go timber grips on the side, get rid of these plastic ones. And that'll allow us to build this in a little bit nicer. And we have this tiny little leaf piece that needs to be cleaned up. This is also molded off the plastic flintlocks. You can see leafy detail there. I'm gonna clean that up. That gets attached up into the top. Originally, these were all molded together on the real pieces, but I'm just gonna smash that together. And that's just gonna be glued in place. One of the big things that I am gonna have to do with this thing is be really, really careful because I'm not sure how brittle this metal is. So I'm gonna cut this and the ramrod and everything off camera on the bandsaw and hopefully not lose any fingers in the process. So I'm gonna go do that and bring it back and we can see where we're going. I'll be back. Well, fuck, that sucked. I got down to these three, got through these pieces and you actually see the really shiny bit there. Those were done with the bandsaw. Happy days with the bandsaw there. This section up into here, like you can see from basically from that end down, that sucked. I started using a hacksaw, was gonna try and use a hacksaw for it. Ended up having to break out the angle grinder. This stuff is actually really hard, which is awesome for longevity and fucking garbage for everything else. So I'm gonna have to file this stuff down just to even it out a little bit. But we are, where's my first picture? That's already starting to get the proportions, the shape a lot closer for Jack's flintlock. So I think off camera, I'm going to file that down. My concern is this butt cap is solid. I'm gonna have to try and cut through that, and my bandsaw is not gonna do it. I don't really want to have to do it with the angle grinder. I think that might be my only way. That also means that this this little weird fucking peak thing is going to be a colossal pain in my ass. Which is a shame. I do have the idea or the option, however, that timber is going to be softer to work with than metal. So I may end up just notching out my timber to fit those. I don't know. It's, you know, you start those projects and you're like, no, this is gonna be easy, and then it's just fucking not. We're at the fucking not part of things, so that's real fun. I mean, that's already looking really nice. I really like that. That's got a very Jack Sparrow shape to it. So we press on. I think I'm going to take this off camera. I'm going to file these down and check back in, see where we're at. All right, so we've cleaned up the underside there. We're looking really nice and shiny. You'll also notice that I've chased in the three engraving lines around the barrel. So they've been filled in as well. We get a couple of little nicks where the angle grinder or the bandsaw just went a little deep. That's okay. These are meant to look worn and aged, as you can see, so those will actually age in really nicely as well. I've sanded down the filing marks with some sandpaper, just 120 grit, and we're looking pretty okay. But I'm gonna have a think about how I want to proceed with this butt cap, because that's not making me happy. I gotta think about how I'm gonna do that. It's a little bit more work than I was hoping. Just before I wander off for the evening, I wanted to show this stuff off. This is darkening patina, and I got this from Barnes. It's an Australian company, and it's originally by a company called Sculpt Nouveau, which means sculpt new. I don't fucking know what it means. But this is a chemical that will age metal. So I'm going to show you how it goes on pewter. I've bought this for another Pirates of the Caribbean related project. We've just got a little bit on the sponge there. And look at that! We chemically age our metal. It's like magic. Okay. So this stuff can be applied hot or cold. Obviously we're doing this cold. The more you put on, the darker it goes. Now it doesn't work with all metals, but it'll certainly work in this way with this pewter. So that's great. And so once this dries, we're going to rinse it off. We could actually probably rinse that off now. We're going to polish it with some steel wool. Now what I want to show you is this is some fresh pewter. We're going to get the same sort of thing, except this already has a layer of oxidization. It's going to take longer for it to oxidize. Yeah, cool. However, if we go to this side and we scuff the surface up with some steel wool, God, that looks nice, doesn't it? There we go. Immediately starts to darken quicker. We're going to get that into all the nooks and or crannies. This whole thing is going to be finished and polished up and all that sort of fun stuff. Okay, you don't have to apply it with a sponge like this. You could just pour a bunch of it into a cup, which we might do, and I'll show you how that goes with this piece. Okay, we're going to put the lid back on, and we've very thoroughly rinsed those pieces under cold water. So you're going to dry it off. And then we burnish this with just a little bit of steel wool. Would you look at that? You'd never know that there was a ramrod there. And you can go through and just polish up areas and blend stuff in however you want. Make it look really nice, make it look kind of nice, make it look not very nice. But there we go. You'd never know that that had a ramrod underneath it. We've got that really nice aging. That's really cool. And so if we look at our butt cap, that's with our patina. And so I'm not scrubbing super hard with this. I am just buffing the high spots, kind of like dry brushing. Obviously this still needs to be trimmed down quite a lot, but this is going to leave shadow and shading in all the crevices, while the high spots and detail are going to get polished up. Would you look at that? It's come a long way from the gold, and so that is actually going to blend in really nicely on the stock of this. I'm really excited to see how that goes. That's going to look great. This little leaf bit is going to look great as well. That's got a lot of filling and sanding, or filing and sanding, I should say. There we go. And obviously I've got to trim around the edges and everything to make it really nice. But that's going to look really, really cool too. That's where we're at. And so when I do the new frizzen part, the new little flippy bit, that is going to need to be patinaed as well. And that makes me think that this is going to work really well to match the patina of this pistol. That's pretty awesome. I'm very happy with that. I think that's going to look really cool. And yeah, just like I bought one. All right, now it's enough for tonight. I've done a little bit of work with the Flintlock body, I guess, the frame. This stuff is much, much harder to cut than I was hoping. So I'd gotten to this stage, I actually took the angle grinder to the butt cap, cut the butt cap off. My original idea was to keep this section of the frame intact, was to drill and tap the new butt cap into place. I've done a little bit of trimming on this one as well. However, I am going to have to cut this down, so cut these triangular peaks off. And at that point, really, I don't need this section of the frame here. So I'm going to modify the Flintlock frame itself, much in the way that a real Queen Anne box lock picture goes in here of an actual kit. Modify it so that it's a little bit more like that. So we'll have a little bit of a tab up here. It's going to cut off about 1 centimeter from where this loops around. And I'm going to cut basically this bottom section right here. And this entire section of the frame is going to come off. We'll then have the timber grip will come around, and instead of it being 2 side grips, it's actually just going to be 1 piece. And I'll drill and tap a little hole there. I've got some nice screws, these ones. Brass wood screws, they look really cool. They're actually quite similar to what I've got on my Perry of London Flintlock. So there'll be a screw, and that'll hold the timber grip on. And then much like an original Flintlock, this is just going to be a piece that'll go on the end. That should work really well. I've got some timber. Going to use this, I think it's just pine. Yeah, it's premium pine. It'll be fine. I'm just going to use that, and I'm going to stain it. I'm going to do sandwich grip. I'm going to glue it and tack it together with some little nails. And then I'm going to stain it. I've got this Feast Watson timber dye, which is Jarrah stain, as you can see there. Yeah, it's from Bunnings, and that should give it a really nice sort of red-brown finish for that timber. So I'm going to cut that frame apart with the angle grinder off camera, and then once we're at that stage, I can start doing some timber work. And so you should see a little bit more of the timber stuff. I'll try and document as much as I can, but it's I haven't done this before, kind of winging it. I've got most of the stock cut out. There's actually 2 pieces, and it's super glued together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to split it. I'm going to work out my channel for this section. So it's going to sit in, so we'll get that. We might bandsaw cut some of that, I don't know. May just grind it. I got to do the groove for the inside, and then we're going to have to do the profile for the butt cap. It's going to look really nice, but that's going to be, that's going to fit in. It's going to look pretty cool. There's going to be a lot of shaping. This has been a pain in the ass to do because I don't really have the right tools. I've been using a wood rasp to take the majority of it off. A Dremel to sand and smooth some areas, and of course I can't find my new fucking Dremel sanding barrels, so I don't know. We're gonna break out the Dremel and try and sand these down, and then I'm going to drill and tap some holes. Maybe not tap, maybe I'll just drill the holes for these to sit in. This is gonna sit a little low, but that's okay, and I can sneak up on the final shape once everything's attached together. So we're gonna start smashing out some stuff, and I've got YouTube playing on the screen behind me. I'm watching Tank the Tech because he's on tour with Electric Callboy, and well, Tank the Tech's awesome and Electric Callboy's awesome. So we're gonna split this and we're gonna start sneaking up to it, but we're getting there. It's gonna be a pistol soon. Pew pew.
Jeffrey Rush, Keira Knightley, Orlando, and of course, Johnny Depp for portraying these brave heroes and villains. Which is basically what ended up on screen. The genres are also described in ambiguously human terms, being referred to as men or dwarves with the word John, like the enigma. The sketches by costume designer John Mullo would make them slightly more alien, with scrunchy, inhuman faces barely visible in the shadows of their hoods. In the final film, their faces were completely blacked out, leaving them mysterious. The script constantly mentions how revolting they are, and not showing them allows the audience to imagine the most disgusting thing they can think of, rather than just the most disgusting thing the artists working on the movie can think of. Also living in Tatooine are the Tusken Raider he breathes, so he gave them goggles and breath masks that were translated fairly faithfully onto the screen. But the idea of cloaked, masked warriors who ambush the protagonists in the desert actually predates Sam People's concept. Those are nothing more than a gang of teenage boys, and the movie ends with an unnamed princess being rescued from the Empire's floating city fortress while the Death Star remains intact. But even though the difference is, the cantina scene is there, complete with an T-head, who later given a proper name and data. Since T-head is only designed
My mechanism's fucked up a little bit, which is a shame, but yeah. I'm gonna take a whole lot of bulk out of this hilt, but we are getting there. All right, so this is where we're at now. As you can see, I've done an awful lot of work off screen, just because this is actually a really tedious process. I've got a lot of filler in places, as woodworking's not my strong suit. I've tried to make it as nice as I can, and I've done a pretty decent job. We've got the frame all cut and mounted into place. I have used JB Weld to attach the side plate and all the mechanism back together, just because there are a couple of broken pieces, and this was originally glued together. But we do work. I've still got to sculpt and make the frizzen, this little pan bit here, but you can see the mechanism works, which is awesome. We have our butt cap, and our stock is shaped. We've got a nice little leaf piece in there, which is carved and fit into place. This hasn't been aged yet, so this will match in more with this finish. But from now, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna start staining the stock. That's gonna be my next big project. So with this, what I'm using is a wood stain. My Jack Sparrow compass was done with similar stuff, but the Jarrah I've tested is gonna give the really nice sort of red-brown finish. It's coming through a little bit more brown than it is red. But the really nice red-brown finish that Jack's Flintlock has, and if we compare it to picture, I think we're going to be able to get pretty fucking close to that. It's going to look really nice. So we're going to brush a couple of coats onto here, and that will be it. We're going to let that dry and then polish it through with some timber polish. Hasn't been fully cleaned up yet, but that's my new frizzen, and yeah. So my overall issue that I've had with this is actually not shown in that video. You wouldn't have been able to pick it, but the spring, actually, the internal spring that allows this to function as a Flintlock replica, right after I filmed that last little video clip, broke. It snapped. Now, they are a very specific spring that goes into here. They're very obviously custom made for these replica Flintlocks, and unfortunately, I don't know how to make a spring. I've tried a couple of different methods, but because this requires so much torque to cock and then fire, it is just not something that I have the ability at this stage to replicate, to fix. So at the moment inside, I've had to pull the whole thing apart multiple times trying to fix it, and I've taken some donor springs from another couple of my Flintlock replicas, and that didn't work either. This thing is just kind of held together with some screws and a little bit of friction, and there's just a piece of coat hanger wire in there, just holding this in place so that it doesn't just spin around. For the moment, this mechanism is inert, it's dead, which is a shame because if I'd known, I probably would have just modified this to be a center-mounted box lock, like Jack's is, rather than trying to keep the side plate and all that sort of shit. Regardless, the look of it turned out really, really nice. I love the look of the stock. However, I'm actually going to be able to use this as an opportunity to shape it down a little bit more. It's a little thick here, especially compared to the Perry of London, which has quite a slender grip, as you can sort of see there. This one's quite bulbous, whereas this one's got a really nice slender shape there. The finish on the butt cap looks incredible, and I'll do some beauty shots at the end of this to show it off. Color for the grip, I'm really happy with, and it's a really nice, heavy replica of Jack's second pistol, his second flintlock. It has not set back together properly. We've got a lot of large gaps and things like that. However, when I do go through to rework this mechanism and try and get it running again, that's going to be a really good opportunity to just refine this shape. This is a really cool opportunity for me to play with some timber working, which I don't do a whole lot of, and it's really tested my limits on problem solving and trying to get things done. In fact, I had nearly 3 hours worth of footage that I've had to cut down just to get the 30 minutes that we have. There was a lot of trial and error with this sort of thing, and while it's turned out pretty neat, it certainly falls well short of where I wanted it to be. And I think that's important to show off. You see so many of the projects that I do as they're finished, something like the Doofy, or something like my Jason X, or seeing the Freddy Krueger gloves, seeing Lordy costumes, seeing Ghostface replications, sculpting, casting, and molding, all of that sort of thing. There's a lot of those projects that I do that succeed, and it's very rare to have something have as many things go wrong like this project. It can happen to anybody, and honestly, I started this thinking it was going to be a quick in and out 30-minute adventure, and I started filming the shots for this in maybe the end of February. It's been a really long time. We're now at the end of April, and it's beaten me down. However, it'll look great stuffed in a belt, in a sash, which you're about to see, and honestly, I'm pretty proud of myself for persevering as far as I have. Look forward for a part 2 coming up at some point in the future. For the meantime, I'm going to give you some beauty shots at the very end. Thank you very much if you watched the whole thing of this. I think it's really important to showcase that not everybody gets everything right all of the time. And it's great to have some lofty ambitions, but even things that you don't count on can go wrong. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's get to the B-roll.